I'm Taylor Hart.
And I'm Avonlea.
And you guys, back in 2018, Avonlea and I got together and we did a little experiment. We created a course to help other people who have a dream to become writers. And we recorded a live series of video trainings together. And the recordings, they've kind of just been sitting out in cyberspace.
Yeah, so Taylor recently contacted me and asked me what I thought about putting this training out there in all of its messiness and imperfection, in the hope that it might help some of you who maybe has been displaced by the COVID-19 pandemic.
That's right. We have both in our lives faced hard things, and we want you guys to know we're there for you. We love you, and we want to be part of a solution. These recordings, you guys, they're totally raw and unedited, but they're 100% value. We hope you'll use them, benefit from them, and when you do write your book,
not if, but when,
then you'll let us know. And you'll share it on social media. You'll tag us, Taylor Hart, Avonlea, because these are going to be coming out. They're going to be coming out right now.
All the videos, all at once, they're there. So just go and enjoy the videos, share your success with us, and happy writing.
Happy writing.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you are. Welcome to lesson 5. And today, let's see, we're moving into our second secret. So the last few lessons, we've been focusing on secret number 1, the playbook, and how to create your outline, how to create amazing characters. And now we're heading into
the good stuff.
Secret number 2,
the best stuff,
which is
how to write crap.
Just some crap, just some piece of crap.
Okay, I wanted to, go ahead.
No, that's it.
So, yeah, we're going to start with the mental game, and then I can't forget, I want to tell my story about my professor, because I think that's the best illustration of when writing crap kind of sets you free. So, okay, today I wanted to, for the mental game, I want you to relax, breathe, and I want you to think about being ready to be ready to be ready. Okay, and you guys, it's kind of funny because when I do these mental prompts for you guys at the beginning, all week I'm kind of thinking about how to add value to your life, okay? And the funny thing is that the more I think about you and pray for you and meditate on you, I get different ideas. And I'm a bike rider. Not like a serious one. I'm cruising around the lake, okay? I'm not like going up mountains, not doing anything hard. But that's kind of when I meditate, when I listen to some meditation stuff. And the other day, I just thought, I want them to think about being ready to be ready to be ready. And what you're doing, listening to us, educating yourself, gaining skills, is part of this process, right? Because you are readying yourself for the next level, whether that's publishing a book, marketing a book, making 6 figures. You are readying yourself, and it's so important. And I'm going to use this example. You hear all these stories about the lottery winners and how they win all this money, right? And what happens to those people? Like, there's documentaries about what usually happens to them. Avonlea, do you know?
I do, actually. I was just reading about this in a book called The Big Leap.
What happens to them?
They either go back to their original net worth or worse than they started.
Yes. And not just worse. Some of them end up like murdered on the side of the street and all this crazy stuff, right? And my husband and I kind of have this joke when he's bored at work, when he's kind of like just going through the process, he starts thinking about winning the lottery. Now, you guys, we don't even play the lottery, okay? So I find this funny. We've been married 20 years. And we'll be, doing whatever, and he'll be like, oh my gosh, do you know how much the lottery is? Have you heard that? And I'm always like, why do you do that? Like, what? But it's because he's just kind of thinking, daydreaming about what it would be like to have all that money, not have to go to work, not have to do boring stuff he doesn't want to do. And so it got me thinking about how these lottery winners aren't ready. They haven't readied themselves to be ready. Okay, Jim Rohn talks about if you become a millionaire, best you learn the habits of a millionaire, or else that money can't stay with you. Okay, and I'm going to put that out to you as a writer. All right, you want to have a 6-figure income, you want to write the next bestseller, you want to have all these things, best you become that. Right? And even for me, I'm always striving to learn the next thing, improve the next thing. There's never a point when you know all the answers. Okay. And I think that's dangerous thinking is, oh, I've arrived at this level, and so I don't have to learn anymore. No, your problems just change. You never stop having problems. Okay. You just start having bigger problems, but you develop more strategies to deal with them. And that's the exciting part. And so you guys are here, you're doing this course with us, you're already doing it. You're readying yourself to go next level. And I would also tell you, I think it's so fascinating, even spiritually, emotionally, physically. One of my sons plays soccer and he loves it. And he sees himself in his mind as being a professional soccer player. And he's this brilliant kid that he knows he has to ready himself to be ready. And so even when he's not in season, he's like, Mom, I need to go to the gym and I need to do this. And he's always watching YouTube videos on how to gain the next skill. And I love that, right? Because he's kind of innately already discovered this. But you think about that, you think about someone training for the Olympics, right? They have to have this habit every day of training. They're not in the Olympics every day, okay? But when they're in the middle of their game, they have the skills, they have the tools, right? If you're a professional soccer player and you've worked your legs, then when you're in the middle of a game and you go up to do one of those kicks and someone comes down on you and you get injured, you might still have the, muscles developed that you can play through that injury, right? Or but if you haven't developed the skills, then you can't do it. And so I just think about how your blueprint, okay, the sheet of your life at any skill level has to always be growing, because if we want that next level, we have to become that. It's not about like, oh, now I've arrived. It's about like the next skill you have to gain. And it's exciting. And, I'm going to be honest, I have a bachelor's degree in English and a master's degree in communications, okay? And when I got done with school, I was like, oh, phew, I'm done with college, right? Because it's so much work. And then I discovered in my own life and on my own journey, I still had so much to learn, right? That are skills that you need. Being a mother, running your life, right? Being able to handle things that come at you, being a writer, okay? I didn't learn any of that in college, which sounds funny, but really story development, I did not learn in college. So now, even when the new tech comes out and my kids are like, Mom, you have to use this app and do this. And I'm like, oh,
Something else
I don't want to learn that. And I try, now I'm like, okay, bring it on. Let's learn it. I can learn a skill, right? My whole life has taught me I can learn. And so I think that that's so important. As you write, you're going to gain skills, and then you're going to realize the skills you don't have. And you're going to go, oh, but training ourselves to be like, that's okay. I'll learn this next skill. I'll learn dialogue. I'll learn scenes. I'll learn today how to write crap. Okay? Because it's really turning the faucet on. That's really what we're talking about today. So
awesome. So I'm going to let her do most of the talking today because I'm sick, first of all. And she's the expert, second of all.
So we were teasing, we were kind of joking before, because you guys, I find Avonlea invaluable to these courses, right? And she brings it, she pours it on. She's really like the definition of going the extra mile. And I appreciate her so much. And so when she told me that today, I was joking. I was like, okay, we'll consult you and we'll be like blink once for yes, blink twice for no. That can be your mystery.
My
So
voice
if you
isn't
see
that
me
bad.
blinking, start chatting. Okay, tell me. Right. Okay, so how to write crap.
Well, we're going to talk about, let's see, routines, methods, where to write,
Yes.
what kind of writing goals you should set each day. How long does it take to finish a book? Like from, if I start writing today, when should I have a book done? Just things like that, right?
Yes.
So,
okay, super exciting. I want to start with the story because this is what introduced me to this secret a long time ago. I had a professor, Professor Mike Brown, and I hope he watches this. I doubt he ever will, but he
send it to him. Just be like,
should, because he
changed
changed
on
me.
me.
He changed me. I had just had my oldest son, and I was in my master's program. And I thought when you had a baby that they would sleep, right? Newborns just sleep. They just sleep. And I was like, oh.
That's why they say sleeping like a baby.
That's a lie.
It's a lie.
If you're a new mother or you haven't had kids, they're lies. Okay. So I was like, yeah, I can do my thesis. I'll just do it when he sleeps. He never slept, ever slept. My husband and I still joke. We have 4 kids. The oldest one never slept. And I think part of it was our fault, right? We trained him that we would pick him up every time he cried. So anyway, I go into my professor. I had about 2 months left of my master's. And I had this baby. I even had him with me. And I'm like, Professor Brown, I'm not going to finish my thesis. I'm going to be one of those students. I'm going to have to finish it later. And he's like, no, you're not. And I was like, but I have this baby and he never sleeps and I'm nursing him and I'm still teaching and everything's really hard. And my husband was in school and he was working and right, life was hard. So he said to me, here's what you're going to do, Taryn, or Taylor, because you guys know I'm both. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to write a piece of crap. And he was so serious. And I just looked at him, I started laughing. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, if you write something and you get it to me, then we could work with it. And we can develop it and we can, we had to go test in front of the board. It was terrifying, you guys. I mean, I would just think about doing all that I had to do and it would shut me down, right? Because I didn't have a great idea. I didn't know how to write the paper. I didn't know what I was going to say to the board. So I would think long term and I'd be like, can't do it. Which might be how some of you feel about where you're at in the publishing process, right? Because you're thinking, I have to do all this stuff and then publish it and then blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what it did for me was it helped me to sit down and to start writing. And it took all that pressure off, but it had to be great, okay? And it freed me up. And so then, you guys, the paper was like 110 pages. Wow. Maybe it was crap. A lot of it was. 20 years later, I don't even want to read it, okay? Like
you got the degree.
That's enough. But that's what I'm going to say to you. So it is a secret. And here's why, is because so many authors, even professional authors I know, get shut down because they have this anxiety. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to have my last book as good as this book. Oh my gosh, I got a bad review, which we're going to talk about later. Because reviews, Avonlea knows that I've had a review thing going on lately. But there's a lot of things to think about. And so when you say, I'm going to write crap, that's the first thing that's going to free you up, okay? Because if you don't get a book done, if you don't have a draft, you're never going to have anything. You're never going to get closer to your dream, okay? So I was going to, if she feels like it, would you like to talk about the kitchen timer method?
Yeah, we can do that right now.
Because when we were kind of discussing this last week, Avonlea reminded me of a really great method, and she found it in this book. But you guys, sometimes for me, I forget about going back to the beginning, like, because I have systems and stuff in place.
She's advanced. Well, some of us are.
And that sounds lame, right? Oh, forget about it. No, I'm just saying, when she brought this up, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, this is brilliant, and this will help you guys. So if you want to go ahead and explain that.
So giving full credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
This came from the book Talking as Fast as I Can, from Gilmore Girls to Gilmore Girls and everything in between. So anybody who knows Lauren Graham, she is the beautiful actress Lorelai in the Gilmore Girls series, and then she was in Parenthood, and I just like adore her.
I know,
I listened to her audiobook when I was commuting, and I was like, she narrates it herself, and I'm like, I want to be friends with her. Like, Lauren Graham, if you're watching, I want to be your friend.
Yeah, what's up?
So she talks about how after she reached kind of a certain point in her career, she was like, I want to write a book. And it was kind of like weird. And she started writing in her little trailer on the lot. But she got stuck, like beginning writers do. Yeah. And she has access to all these big Hollywood writers because of her position, her career. So she was talking to one friend, and he's like, no, you need to talk to Dan. You need to talk to Dan. All Dan. So she shares in her book what they call the kitchen timer method. And so I took pictures of it from the book. I'm going to screen share for you, so that I just want to make sure that we provide credit to Lauren, to Dan, to everybody who brought this to the table. So let's share screen. And we'll just read this. So this is right here, the kitchen timer method. And hopefully everybody can see that. So the principle of kitchen timer is that every writer deserves a definite and doable way of being and feeling successful every day. To do this, we learn to judge ourselves on behavior rather than content. We set up a goal for ourselves as writers that is easy, measurable, free of anxiety, and above all, fail-proof, because everyone can sit and an hour will always pass. So buy a kitchen timer, use a kitchen timer app, or tell Siri to start a timer for 60 minutes. We decide on Monday how many hours of writing we will do Tuesday. When in doubt or under pressure or self-attack, because writers do this, we choose fewer hours rather than more. A good strong beginning is 1 hour a day, but half hour is always good, or 20 minutes. Some of us make appointments in our calendar for these hours as if they are lunch meetings or business calls. So 3, the kitchen timer hour. No phones, no texts, we silence ringers, we turn our phones face down. It is our life, and we are entitled to 1 hour without interruption, particularly from loved ones. We ask for their support. I was on an hour is something they learn to understand, but they won't respect it unless we do first. No music with words unless it's a language we don't understand. Words get into your head, right? And then you get distracted. Headphones with white noise can also be helpful. No internet, absolutely. We turn off our computer's Wi-Fi. No reading, no pencil sharpening, desk tidying, organizing. Then immediately upon beginning the hour, we open 2 documents, our journal and the project we are working on. If we don't have a project we're actively working on, we just open our journal. 5, an hour consists of time spent keeping our writing appointment. That's it. We don't have to write at all if we're happy to stare at the screen or the page. Nor do we have to write a single word on our current project. We may spend the entire hour writing in our journal. Anything we write in our journal is fine. Ideas for future projects, complaints about loved ones, what we ate for dinner, even I hate writing typed 400 times. When we wish, or if we wish, we pop over to the current project document and write for as long as we like. When we get tired or want a break, we pop back to the journal. The point is, when disgust or fatigue with the current project arises, we don't take a break by getting up from our desk. We take a break by returning to the comforting arms of our journal until that in turn bores us. Then we are ready to write on our project again, and so on. We use our boredom in this way. It is always okay to write exclusively in our journal. In practice, it may rarely happen that we spend the full hour. Let me see if I can move my screen so I can read this. Full hour in our journal, but it's fine, good, and right if it does. It's just a good a day writing as one spent entirely in our current project. And you guys, I just have to say, when I first listened to her narrate this and she read that part, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so liberating. That like, I just have to nurture the writer in me that wants to show up and write. And it doesn't matter what I write about. And once I started doing that, just that simple practice of having the journal and my project open, I found that I spent less time in my journal and more time in my book. And there are days where I have it open and I don't even write in my journal at all. But it just started with that nurturing voice inside me that said, it's okay if I just want to write in my journal. So it's definitely better to write fewer hours every day than many hours one day and none the next. If we have a crowded weekend, we choose a half or quarter hour as our time, put in the time, and then go on with our day. We are always trying to minimize our resistance. And beginning an hour on Monday after 2 days off is a challenge. 7, when the hour is up, we stop, even if we're in the middle of a sentence. And like I read somewhere about another writer that said she honors her time commitment when she, like, sometimes she feels the flow starting to come right as she's about to get off her hour. And so people are like, well, what do you do if like you're feeling in the zone? Like you just keep going, and she's like, honor my time commitment, because I feel like sometimes my brain knows I'm about to get done, and that's why the good stuff starts pumping out. It's like, okay, get it on. Okay, I'm out. You know, we honor it. So we're always trying to minimize our resistance. If we've scheduled another hour, we give ourselves a break before beginning again to read, eat, go on errands. We're not trying to create a cocoon we must stay in between hours. The old, I'm sorry, I can't see anyone because I have a deadline. Rather, it's inside the hour is your inviolate time. You take a break, you get stuff done, and then you go back inside an hour. Number 8, if we fail to make our hours for the day, we've scheduled too many. 4 hours a day is an enormous amount of time spent in this manner. For example, if on Wednesday we planned to write 2 hours and didn't make it, we schedule a shorter appointment for the next day. And again, it's that compassionate voice to yourself. It's like, instead of hanging yourself up and like punishing yourself, you're like, oh no, I'm going to show you a little bit more love and compassion. So we don't add up an hour. We don't add on time to make up for lost time or to catch up. We just let the past go and move on. I don't know what's happening. Finally, number 9, when we have fulfilled our commitment, we make sure we credit ourselves for doing so. We have satisfied our obligation to ourselves, and the rest of the day is ours to do with as we wish. 10, a word about content. This may seem to be all about form, but the knowledge that we have satisfied our commitment to ourselves, freedom from anxiety and resistance, stilling of that hectoring voice inside us that used to yell at us that we weren't writing enough, all this opens us up creatively. Good luck, Dawn Roos. So I think I said Dan, it's Dawn. That's okay. And we will go back. So I just loved that. I listened to it and I was like, I have to go find that and copy it, because I needed that as a writer to remember the voice of compassion, to remember that when I'm being hard on myself, my little creative voice is like, I don't want to play anymore. And it goes and hides, you know?
Yeah. No, I love that. And when she read that to me last week, I was like, oh yeah, I want you to actually read this to our people, because I think it's so important to nurture yourself. Now, on the other end of the spectrum,
She's got the devil on the shoulder and the angel on the shoulder.
I've been thinking all week about this now for you guys. And I'm like, okay. So guys, when I had 4 kids in 8 years, right? And when I had and I've been writing, 13 years. I remember, okay, being so frustrated because I couldn't get 4 hours, because I couldn't get 1 hour, right? And I would kind of be like mad and angry. And so I went to this one writing workshop.
Sorry.
That's right. I went to this writing workshop, and it's funny because I'm not going to say her name, but she was kind of one of my, like, I loved her books. She was one of my heroes. And I went to this conference, and she was there presenting. And I thought she would be like her books are, like warm and fun. Yeah, no. Okay. She gets up and she says, I'm going to tell you, I don't garden. I don't have girls' names. She went through this whole list, right? I don't sew. I don't, da, 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 da.
She doesn't bake cookies?
She's like, I'm a mother and I'm a writer. And she's like, all of my friends who started writing with me are gone. And I was kind of sitting there. I was like, oh my gosh, she's so negative. Like, I don't even want to be here. But over the years, okay, her words have kind of entered my brain. What am I? Okay. And if you're putting time against your family or against, right, my family's going to come first. Like, hands down, my family comes first. Okay. And so if I have to run to the school or if I have to do something, my writing time gets interrupted. But you guys, for so long, it's only been really 2 years that I've had kids all in school. So here's some of the things I used to do. Okay. I actually, instead of a time, I would have a word count. I would have a word count goal. I would say, I'm going to get 2,000 words a day. All right. Because that will show me progress. Even if they are crap words, I'm going to get 2,000 words. And this is funny, but we have a little gym by where me and Avonlea live, and it has daycare. And a lot of times I would go there and use the daycare for an hour, and I would bring my computer and I would sit on the couches. I wouldn't work out. I would sit on the couches and I would bust out words. And so I looked at that because I remember being like, how can I get time? How can I get time? How can I get my 2,000 words in? And hold myself to a standard. I didn't always want to be yelling at my kids, right? I didn't want to be like, oh, you guys, right? I couldn't do that. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And so they would go to daycare for an hour and I would bust out 2,000 words. And it was just like, I had to do that. Like, there was no, people would even come by and want to talk to me and I'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm writing right now. This is my hour. Okay. And so people quit bugging me because, but I wouldn't answer phone calls from my sister or my mom or anything, right? Like, that was my hour. And that's when I really started knowing I could produce 2,000 words in an hour. Like, that was the beginning. And there's a couple of other ways too. Do you want to talk about christening your space?
Yeah, do that.
I think this is so valuable because some authors will be like, oh, I can't write there. That's not,
It's on my desk. It's not my space. Like, I have to be like in my chair.
I don't like that. And I don't believe in that. Okay. And so what I do if I'm anywhere, if I'm at the gym, if I'm at a restaurant, because if wherever I'm at, a writing retreat, a coffee shop, I will christen that space. And I don't make a big production, right? But
she lies.
I do a ceremony.
She's like ringing bells and like
burning sage. Just kidding. I don't. But I tell myself, and it's kind of just saying kind of a little prayer over it. I'll just be like, and now you are my writing space, and I will be the most creative and effective and useful right now. And then I put that intention down and I do it.
And then that way you can transform the library, the coffee shop, your hotel room.
Yes. And so I'm always like, it's simple, right? Go back to simplicity for yourself. People get jumped up like, so I love the kitchen timer method. I'm looking for a timer.
It's on my phone.
I love that. And I have used different methods. Like, you guys, I've used probably every method. Okay. I do always turn off my Wi-Fi when I'm sitting down to,
because then you're like tempted to Google. Like, I was writing my thing about Medusa. I have another book going and I'm like, well, now I need to look up something on Greek history. And instead of writing, I was researching.
Don't get caught in that trap. Okay. I have 3 things that I like to know before I start writing. One is how much time I'm going to have, right? If it's an hour or whatever, then I have a word count goal. Okay. I told you for myself, I do 2,000 words. It might be 500 words. It might be 1,000 words. I love how they talk about hit your goal, like make your goal something you can do. Okay. Because that will
set realistic goals. That's another whole success principle thing, setting realistic goals.
And realistic for you is different than me, is different for her, right? Because we all have different beliefs and patterns and we're all at different levels, okay? So make yourself successful, right? You might time it. You might time it in Word at the bottom. It'll always give you a word count. So write for an hour and see how many words that is. And then say, oh, I can write faster or whatever. But here's the biggest trick, okay? Here's the biggest trick. Know the scene you're going into, all right? So what I do, a lot of times I do it the night before, you guys. And this is very helpful. I'll be thinking about where I am in my book, okay? What's going on? I've used the Taylor Hart playbook, boom, right? I kind of have an outline. I know basic character stuff, okay? And then I go into that scene, which character's head I'm in, okay? So I'll, like when I'm scrawling it in my notebook, I'll put, you know, my character, Cameron, POV, that's his POV. And I write the scene and I kind of just outline like, okay, he's on the ship, he's upset, she's gonna interrupt him, he doesn't like her, they get in a fight, they're interrupted, she falls in the pool, he takes her to her room. Okay, so I'm just kind of knowing where the scene's going, all right? That's all I have. Then when I sit down, it comes alive. And boom, their characters come alive and they start talking and he's really pissed and she's mad too. And they have, right? Like, and then they, like the fight's this, or sometimes they don't get in a fight. Sometimes one of them feels a lot of compassion for the other. But I allow myself some playful stuff within that. But if I have a direction of where the scene's going, I guarantee you I will hit my count. Okay? And so those three things: know how much time you're going to write, what your word count goal is, and what's going to happen in that scene. Okay? Now, at this point, if I'm still writing, I know they talked about honoring yourself. Okay? If I can write, I write.
If you have nothing else going on, you don't have to go to a school play,
right.
You don't have to.
And if I'm in groove, I just keep writing. But it's delightful to me. Like I feel like I'm flying when I'm writing. And this is another trick I do, and it's, my friends make fun of me, okay? And we're gonna talk about writing retreats in just a second, but I close my eyes, okay? Because I'm in a movie, right?
Totally.
Like I'm in scene, okay? Now, I have written many words that have disappeared on my screen before, right? Because my eyes are closed and I've hit a wrong key.
Oh, shoot. I can't type with my eyes closed either. Like that's, you got the fingers and the, yeah. I'd go back and be like, whoa, so, I don't understand. This is in English.
Well, and I really write crap. All right, my first drafts are crap. So I don't pay attention to spelling, and let's talk about that. In our editor, what do you think, Avonlea?
Man, I have to fix the spelling or I can't keep going. I can't. But that's like, I have OCD in terms of spelling. I'll fix the spelling, but I keep going.
So my challenge to Avonlea today is, okay, Shakespeare couldn't spell. He couldn't spell. He didn't spell right. Okay, that's the truth, right? And I took really pointless old English classes.
So did I.
Like Chaucer. And,
yeah.
Right? That's one of the things my professor would always say. Shakespeare couldn't spell. Shakespeare couldn't spell. So I'm saying that to you guys. For your first draft, when you're pure creativity, right? Your pure flow. It's fun. Your first draft, you guys. This is why we're writers. Because we're creating a world. Okay? Give yourself the gift of turning that editor off. Turn it off. Be like, I'm going to spell it wrong. I'm going to spell a lot of words wrong. And so I just fly through a first draft, right? Even if I have to go back, even if the next day I'm going back to kind of see where I was, I don't do that very often. But if I have to kind of look back, I don't even correct it then. And I just tell it, this is crap. This is my crappy first draft. And then, but I think that is it's a huge secret, you guys.
Yeah.
Because even amongst my writer friends, when we go to retreats and stuff, they will get hung up. Like, they're like, oh, Taryn, how do you put out so many words? That's how.
Well,
and I tell them they're junk. Like, they're junk words.
Yeah. That was one of the first questions I had for you when we originally started talking as writers. I was like, how often do you go back and reread what you're writing? And she was like, I don't. And I was like, huh.
Because it can sink you. Okay. Now, I think this is so vitally important too. What sinks me might not sink you. You have to determine that. Okay. And this is something I say to myself. It's one of my mantras in my life since I'm 40 this year. I'm not doing it wrong. I'm doing it just right. I do it just right. I say that to myself about parenting. I say that to myself about writing. I say that to myself about, like, my whole thing when I talk to the Lord is like, I want to do it. I want to be kind, right? Like, I want to have compassion in life. But you and I both know self-doubt will sink you, okay? In every aspect of your life. So you tell yourself, like, trust yourself. I'm a good person. I'm honestly trying to do good things. As a writer, I'm trying to do it, right? So I'm going to trust that I'm doing it right for me. And when I learn that next skill, then I'll change. But I'm not going to beat myself up now because I'm doing it this way. Okay? Because this way works for me. All right. Okay, I'm moving on.
Well, and that was really important for me. Just being able to remember, like, there's a difference between creator brain and editor brain.
Yes.
And my editor brain is the brain that can go back and make it beautiful. Like,
and it's necessary.
And that's where I change the structure of a sentence. I move a word to a different place. I start with the verb. That's where I sit down and I make it beautiful. But if I'm doing that every time I sit down to write, then I'll never create. I'll never finish because I have to get that first draft out first. So that was, like, really important for me to learn. I still fix the spelling. Maybe I'll let that go.
Like Grammarly. I actually don't have it. But one of my friends that feels OCD about it, it swears by Grammarly. It's like a small membership. I don't know how much, but look into it. Okay. Okay. The next thing that I think is super important. Finding that space that does work for you. So when she's talking about the kitchen timer, if you have hours you can dedicate, make that a routine every day you can be successful at, okay? I tried a million things, you guys. I don't know if you've ever read we've talked about it,
The Artist's Way.
The Artist's Way.
Oh, if you have not read The Artist's Way.
So great. And she talks about something called the morning pages, where you get up and you flow, you kind of do a journal, but it, like, unlocks your creativity. And I would, at the beginning, I would just be like, okay, I have to do the laundry today.
Yeah, it, like, clears, like, all the brain clutter.
Get that out. I think that's really fun to do if you are looking for something to kind of untap you. Her big thing is get up in the morning and do that, okay? So I started doing that when I had little kids. And I was like, oh my gosh, they get up so early. So I'm going to get up at 5:30. Like, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to get up at 5:30. They get up at 6:30. I'm going to give myself an hour. Guess when the kids started getting up?
They found out you were awake?
No, they had, like, sonar, right? Like, all of a sudden I'd have a kid there and it's 5:45. And then I was like, and so I just go back to whatever works. I take my computer, I have a laptop. When I go to football practice, soccer practice, any kind of practice, that's actually writing time. And so I don't go mingle with the moms. I mean, I do, sometimes you have to be political. But a lot of times I will take my laptop and just give myself time, goal. What's my scene? And I'll just pound through that next thing that I'm doing. And so, because you guys, I do think it was important when that crappy lady was kind of mean at the writing workshop and she was kind of negative. From every negative thing, you can glean the good, right? The truth that I gleaned was that she knew she was an author and she wasn't going to quit. And so that's what I would have you say to yourself. I say this to myself, even when I'm kind of feeling shut down. I'm like, I'm not shut down. This is my job. This is what I do. Okay. Having that mental picture of who you are, even if you're not there yet. Okay. But if you're slamming down some words every day, you're getting there. Okay. It's Bob Proctor says the definition of success is moving progressively toward a worthy goal. Okay. So you are successful when you're doing the things that you need to do. Okay. That's not all the things we're talking about. Doing it our way. That's for you to go, you know what does work?
Here are lots of options.
I'm going to try this. Okay. The next thing, writing retreats. So when I first started writing, I went to a workshop. I think workshops are amazing, especially when you're new. Go to the workshops, meet other writers, right? We're all in this together. Rub shoulders with them. Ask them questions. How do you do this? What works for you? Bring creativity. Give them some of your ideas, right? But find people that you like. Join a critique group. That being said, be careful of critique groups because you always have someone in your critique group that's not very kind. Okay.
Just somebody who rips apart everyone's writing.
Yeah. And you're tender. When you're first starting, you're a baby, right? You're just trying and determine you're not going to be shut down by that either. Okay. But I love writing retreats because it's like this dedicated time away from your family, away from normal work, or if you're still working, it's time away from that where you can be creative. Okay, so I would think about doing a writer's retreat. Think about someone you could do it with. We should probably have one.
Okay.
People.
Yeah.
Would you guys like that? That would be fun. If you can, you turn
throw it in
on?
the comments. It's on. So
is it on?
If you want to
Okay.
do a writer's retreat, you guys will want to like have a little getaway.
We could hook up. But no, I just get excited because it's time that I really do pound out a lot. I can write a whole book in a weekend because I'm like intending to write that book. Oh, yes!
Yes. Okay, we've got 2 big yeses. Stay
Oh.
tuned. We'll figure out when we
Wouldn't
want
that
to.
be fun?
Yeah.
I know. We're gonna have to think of something really fun.
We could like rent a cool house and.
No, lately I've been thinking about how to have more fun. Right? That's the question I ask myself, and so anything we can bring the fun to, I'm all about it. Yes, can you bring the cute puppy too?
Yes. This is Bella.
Hey Bella. She's my good doggy.
She just had a birthday.
She did just
We like
have a
literally filmed on her birthday a couple weeks ago.
I know. I love Avonlea for saying that. She remembers my dog's birthday. Okay, so are we just pounding through this?
All right, so we talked about writers' retreats, christening your space, competitions.
Okay. Well, you met Joe last time, okay? So Joe and I have been friends for a long time, and we've done a lot of retreats together. Oh yeah, she told you about how I started her, which is not true. But I remember the first time we were sharing a hotel. She had her bed, I had my bed, and we're like, okay, we'll write at the hotel for like until 2 hours. We're not going to talk. We're going to write. And I remember I started to write, and I could hear her going. She like didn't stop. Like I would pause, and I'd be thinking about stuff, and she was going. And you guys, I got so disturbed by it that I like put on my headphones because I didn't want to hear her. But what it did do for me is it made me go, well, I'm writing something. I'm writing something. Like, I don't care what I'm writing, but it's getting written. Like, I don't care if I'm writing junk. Like, I don't care if I'm even writing the truth. Like, if I'm pretending to write, like I'm writing. Because you feel that, like, oh my gosh. And at the end of so she would burn me Like, I'd be like, okay, how many words did you get? Like, I got 5,000 words. I'd be like, oh, I only got 1,500 words. And that was kind of the beginning of when I realized I could write faster. And when I wrote faster, I actually wrote better because it was like a movie, right? I wasn't like blah, 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 thinking too much. I was just flowing. So there are some websites, just Google it. I have a lot of friends that will do sprints, they're called. So Google writing sprints, and there'll be forums you can go to and people will say, hey, let's meet at 11 and let's sprint for an hour. And it's funny to do it that way. I've done it like twice just online. But because you can see their word count growing too. You can't see what they're writing, but you can see. And so it kind of brings out your competitive side. That doesn't work, obviously, for everyone. And it kind of depends on where you're at in story development. I mean, before I go on a writing retreat with Joe, you guys, I put my stuff in the playbook. Okay, I have a new project. Stuff in the playbook. I know the characters, all right, and I'm ready.
So you're not still figuring that out while you're sitting there and she's writing and you're like, okay, so let's see.
Yeah, because I'm bringing it.
Yeah.
All right, and so now Joe will tease me. You know, she'll be like, oh, you know, you're writing too fast. And I'm like, yeah. So, you know, if it's a level that you can handle and tolerate, do the competitive thing. I know for some people that shuts them down. Okay, but I really like it. It's fun when I'm ready for the race. Okay. Oh, so, and there's a saying among writers. It's very, very, very poetic. But in chair. Okay. Have you heard this?
But I know what it means.
The fact that you are sitting there, like Avonlea said, one thing I did like about the
Kitchen
I
timer.
liked a lot of stuff about the kitchen timer, but one that I really liked is when they're like, if you just stare at a blank page, you stare at a blank page. Okay.
You don't get up and walk around.
You don't move. And that takes time and training. You have to train yourself because there's lots and lots of hours that I have spent staring at a blank page. And now sometimes I'll do my journal. A lot of times I work on 2 stories in tandem. And the funny thing about doing that is I might even say, I'm going to give myself complete freedom. I'm going to be a pantser. Like, so this one story, I'm just going to pants it. I'm just going to be free. I'm not even going to put stuff in the playbook. And then the story I'm working on is like my real story. Like, I'm going to like have that be my real story. The funny thing is I usually write both of them and publish both of them because it like unlocks my creativity. Okay. And that's just a system I've found. And when I'm writing both of them, sometimes when I'm stuck, the other story will give me the answer to the one I'm working on. So whatever you can do to just sit, write, pound out words, you guys. That's write crap and tell yourself, you know what? This is crap. I'm not going to publish this. I'm not going to have an expectation for this. This is just going to be a story. I'm just going to do what Taylor and Avonlea say. I'm just going to write. I'm going to write a book that's junk. Okay? Because I think you'll be surprised that you'll actually love this book. And I bet you'll publish it. And because it frees you up, right? You're not like, oh my gosh, is this character right? Is this sentence right? Is this, you know, Leonardo da Vinci, one of the things he said is that the most sophisticated plans are the most simplistic. Ooh, okay. But I like that because plain writing, like you don't have to, I mean, we're writing, if you're watching, like I write to market, right? I'm writing light, fun stuff. I don't get too bogged down in my prose, right? I don't put that pressure on myself because I want people to be in it in character. Characters don't think that beautifully, right? Like I like some of it and I have different editors that will nail me. Like, okay, Taryn, you got to add stuff to this. You got to make it better. And you need those editors. And then I will. But first draft, you're just getting it out, you guys. So now my throat's hurting because I've been talking this whole time.
Okay, well, I have a few more questions. We have like 10 minutes left. So I know we had talked about just, okay, we're writing now. We've done the outline, we've done the characters, we're doing the brain dump. I'm like wondering, how long does it take me to finish a book? Like once I start writing, and then also just basic formatting. Like this is kind of when we started talking about, do we create this program? I was like, do I keep my whole book in one Word document? Do I put chapters into separate Word documents? I know this is getting kind of a little bit more technical. It's not so much about content creation, but I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to do all this work and then be like, now I have to do all this extra work because I have everything in separate documents, or I should have broken it up because it's easier to edit. And like, how does my editor want this? You know, I know it's like technical stuff, but I want to start on the right foot here. If I'm going to write, I want to set myself up for success.
I love it. Yes, I agree. Work smarter, not harder, right? So you're working smart. So what I do, I have a membership to Dropbox, okay? Because I like online storage all the time. When I first started out 15, 13, whatever years ago, we didn't really have that. And so I was like, panicked all the time.
Back it up.
Is my computer gonna break? Is my flash drive gonna break? How many times do I have to back it up? I love Dropbox because now I actually every day I'll redate it, and I don't save 100 copies. I just resave the one I'm working on, right? Taylor Hart working draft of Married by Christmas, 11/11/13 or whatever day it is.
Why do you timestamp? Why do you date stamp it? Like I don't do that. Okay. I just go in and save it.
Yeah, I like to do it for my own peace of mind. I'll have different editors working on different drafts of mine. And so when they get it back to me, it's the date I sent it to them. And so then I put, Jenna edits, I put a new date on it. So I always know this is the most recent thing. And then I delete all my other drafts. If I have a new working copy because an editor gave it back to me, I delete the others. I don't save things 100. I used to, but it will bog you down. There are different programs. Scrivener is an awesome program. Here's what I will tell you. When you export, if you're gonna need editors, all right? When you export your Scrivener file back to Word, because you will have to send it to an editor, you can't just re-import it into Scrivener without deleting the previous, so the drafts, you have to go in, you have to double screen it and fix your stuff, okay? And so that got taxing for me. Unless you totally destroy what's in Scrivener and then re-import it. The problem with doing that is a lot of times you'll have different files, like character files, you might have a cover file, you might have all this stuff you're thinking about. It takes it out too and destroys it if you destroy a draft. That ticked me off.
Scrivener, if you're watching.
Well, so I have a good friend. She uses Scrivener and she loves it. She writes really clean and she doesn't use as many editors. And so she doesn't mind double screening it.
Because she can just go fix edit, fix edit, fix edit.
I don't want to do that. So it's kind of what you prefer. I've tried tons of different formatting systems. I come back to Word because that's where everyone edits. Okay. And I want to be able to have different types of editors. And are we talking about that this time or is that next time?
I think we can talk about editing later.
Okay.
Yeah, we get to editing in lesson 8, just so everybody's aware. But I just wanted to okay, we're just writing. How do I put it all in one Word document? Do I have one Word document for every chapter?
I keep it all in one Word document. Okay. You can play around with that. Just be careful because you guys, it can be daunting with this character in this chapter and this, okay? I just keep it all together. You can, that's your choice. Word count. It used to be for a clean romance that it was about 60,000 words, 65. Books Books are usually about 60 to 80,000 words, hard copy books. Okay. The trend now is toward shorter books. All right. I think it's because we're on digital devices, right?
Phones, Kindles.
So my average book will be between 35 and 50,000 words now. Some people complain about that. Okay. Some people don't like that. The funny thing is, I wrote a book that was 65,000 words about 6 months ago, put it out. I had one reviewer say this book was too short. I thought that was funny because, you know, it's one of my longer books, but they don't really, I think it's just how they feel about the story. That's why I think the beats are so crucial. Because when I looked at that book, I was like, I kind of skimped the end. Like I didn't go as long as I should have probably. And I think that's why it felt shorter, right? And so word count to market, between 40 and 55,000 right now.
Right. We talked about that, but like, how long does it take you to write that?
Okay. I know. It's such a hard question to answer because I can throw down a first draft. If I go on a writing retreat, I can throw down a first draft in 3 days. Okay. And then I get it off to my first editor, right? Then I pull it back and then I go through. So a fast book would be like 3 weeks for me.
For you, who's like, I've been doing this for years.
Yes.
So what about a newbie, first timer? Like, what's a realistic expectation I could set for myself to say?
Yeah. Oh, I know. There's so many things because how many editors do we have? Do we have critique groups? I would say 3 months. You guys can do it.
That feels
using the playbook.
Doable.
Right? I'm serious. Like knowing your beats, knowing your characters, using the techniques we're talking about, that's slamming down words every day.
Well, and that feels reasonable because I started writing mine. If I hadn't had a couple of things hold me up, like we got into the character thing and I was like, oh, I'm going to wait and do my characters. And then I've had a family crisis. Family comes first. So I haven't been writing. But I would say if I had been able to keep writing over the last 2 weeks, I would have it done by now. And that would be a 6-week book. So that's 6 weeks of just a draft.
Yeah.
That's realistically, great. I think that would have been possible had I not had reasons to delay.
Yeah. You're still going to get it done.
Yeah, we're going to talk about those temptations, distractions, roadblocks, all that good stuff next week. So if you guys are struggling with what holds you back as a writer, writer's block, like, you know, what are the things they're going to squirrel you away from your book? And we talked about that a little bit today with the editor brain, but next week in the next lesson, we're going to dive into how to get through that garbage.
I would love it if you guys would put in the comments right now anything that you feel like is kind of
what
tripping you up,
holds you back.
Yeah. So we can address it if you feel comfortable.
Yeah, we'll keep those anonymous, but just like throw it in the comments or in the Q. We have some Q&As actually.
Email me.
We have some Q&As here. Writer's Retreat sounds great. Have you ever saved in the cloud or only in Dropbox?
Yeah, I have. Isn't everything saved in the cloud? Like I buy cloud storage, like I know that, but I go through Dropbox. I have done Google too, which is free also. I just really like the Dropbox. I like how it works. I've worked with other authors and we can share within Dropbox too and work kind of like Google. You can do that.
A lot of people just like upgrade their iCloud storage though, and I think it's similar. You're just paying for extra storage space.
The cloud confuses me. I don't know.
So do what works for you. I think that's the answer right there, is just find a storage system that feels safe and reliable for you, and whatever that looks like. Yeah. Okay, one more Q&A. My best ideas always happen when I'm driving.
Actually, that's normal, and here's why. Because actually, we were talking about this before, but when you're relaxed, that's when, maybe we weren't talking about it, I was thinking about it, but when you're relaxed, that's when you can receive ideas, okay? And so I get them on my bike rides because I'm relaxed. In the shower. I get them while vacuuming.
Where you're about to fall asleep. Okay, so this is good. We'll have to talk about that next week. Anybody else? What are your big pitfalls, roadblocks, temptations, distractions? What plugs you up? Kids, finding time, exhaustion,
newborn.
Okay.
I feel ya.
Okay. I think if they reply to your email, they could also, if they don't have time or space to drop a comment right now, if there's something you would really like us to address in our next lesson, that's what holds you back, we will stay tuned. You can Facebook message me.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for showing up for another hour of juicy learning about how to be writers. You guys are amazing. You've made it through 5 lessons. We're almost halfway.
I know. I love it.
And we'll see you next week to talk about how to get through
mental blocks.
Yeah. Okay. Have a great week.